Good morning, welcome back to another video. It is 7 a.m. in Seattle, so 6 a.m. for me. It's not as nice of a morning as the last time you guys were here, but this morning's objective is to see if we can get my car to run and go get some coffee. So we'll get this thing uncovered. Good morning. Can I do a 20-ounce salted caramel macchiato with the extra shot? Cool. Yes, please. Yep. Let's fucking hope this thing starts back up. Otherwise, I'm gonna have to push it down this little hill right here. It sat for a long time, and the battery doesn't like to sit in this car. But usually it's fine after I drive a little bit, so hopefully this drive was long enough, at least for one crank. Well, my GoPro died, my car died. Gotta figure out my way back home now. But I got a coffee, got the car running. I brought the jump box because I figured it was gonna die. And I guess I'll see you when I get home. Alright. So that was a huge fail. One, my GoPro battery said it had like 75% when I left the house. This was like a 6-minute drive. Two, I knew that this battery would die if I didn't drive it enough. So I idled kind of far back in the lane. So it was probably loud, but it probably wasn't too loud. So I pulled up to the window. The lady already seemed salty. I don't know if she just forgot to have her coffee or what. But got my coffee, GoPro died, car died. Thankfully there was nobody else than me in line. But yeah, I had to get out, squeeze out between the window of the fucking coffee shop and jumpstart this bitch. And I had like these two ladies just having their morning stroll waiting on me in line. They were walking, they weren't even in the car. And then coming back Trying to drive this thing. Keep in mind, there's no power steering. It's on 275s. Sticky 275s. It's very difficult to drive one-handed. Also, I have a bunch of random shit in my cup holder, so I didn't have a cup holder, so I tried to put this on my lap. I tried to drive one-handed, tried to shift one-handed. Long story short, I spilt it all over myself. But the real reason that we're here this weekend, two things. One, your boy Ricky's getting old. He's turning 30 next week, but this was a good week for me to make it down, so we're throwing him like a surprise birthday. He's actually not here yet. Bryce picked me up from the airport because Ricky was down south a little bit for the night. But the other reason, we got Dave's car here, Ricky's car. I'm super excited actually. Ricky's finally gonna get this thing on the road quicker than anticipated. I'll show you why in a minute. Our flip car here is almost complete. The brakes aren't really bleeding. It's got some ABS bullshit on it, so we got a ABS delete kit, so that's gonna be done. But this thing's wrapping up, dude. It's coming along. It's nice. But back to this, Davis's car. Almost all of his parts are in finally. I guess another before that. So this is gonna be Ricky's new setup, essentially. It's got a built bottom end, stock head. He might do cams. He's gonna throw it on the 62, 66, and just kind of low boost, big turbo, make like 400 daily of the car, enjoy it. Then he has an aluminum rod motor to make some big power on. But I think he wants to build an auto car. He's like the only DSMer I know. He's had this thing repainted like 3 times. He likes his things to be nice. As you guys know, I don't know what paint is. So, but no, this thing's super sweet. So back to Dave's car. Just showed up last week. He's got the new FP Red. He actually scavenged some parts off of the Talon, which I think is under that cover back there. But so he's got the ETS front mount intercooler. Just got a 2GB bumper painted for it. This is a 95, and brand new tile. MVS, I think. Wastegate's a 38 mil. I forget. It's early in the morning. Coffee hasn't kicked in yet. But so hopefully the plan is to get this thing going today. We're gonna pull the valve cover, set timing, install some springs, some valve springs, retainers, some cams. He's got the GSC S2s. So basically, if you guys have paid any attention to my GSX, this is gonna be like almost a direct copy, but modern technology. So I got the same manifold. I got older wastegate, older tile. I got the old school FP Red, GSC S2s, valves. My head's like built and ported and stuff, so the head's gonna flow a little bit better than his. I got the VRSF cooler, so it's a little bit shorter piping, but basically the gist of it is it's gonna be a modern version of my car. So tuning it is gonna be pretty sweet, because I want to see how much different this turbo reacts versus the old one. This is like brand new. I believe they're 57 mil. Now mine's a 61.5, and it's a cast iron wheel. So it's an old school GT35R wheel shoved into a small housing, pretty much. If you didn't know about those. And this is just like billet, smaller, faster. He's got the UHF hot side, ultra high flow. It's FP's new turbine wheel. Supposed to be pretty spicy, so we'll see how this thing turns out. I'm excited. I really hope that we can finish it today and at least get a little bit of tuning in so you can at least drive it. Driving it always brings up a couple extra kinks, you know, to figure out. But the lower intercooler pipe's kind of our last piece to the puzzle, and then he went with a small battery. So he also needs a battery tray, but I think he ordered that. But yeah, so I'll probably see you guys again when we start working on this thing. Alright, so I'm gonna attempt to kind of do this thing in like a step-by-step, I guess another cam install video. Set timing. I think we're gonna do the springs too, which I haven't done on the car before. I don't know how well I'm gonna get footage and record it and stuff, but we'll see what I come up with. That being said, first things first, we're gonna remove the valve cover. Well, we'll remove this, set top dead center, then pull the valve cover. It's just a bunch of 10 mils, so just like that, valve cover's off. Still got to set it to top dead center. Ended up pulling the hood and got it lifted up and stuff, because we're gonna do the timing like this. So you just got to pull off all these covers and stuff, and then if you pull this motor mount, obviously get all these out of the way. I haven't done it with AC, so we'll see how much that's in the way or not, but you just got to work halfway up, halfway down, put the jack under the block, lift it up to do the upper half, lower it down to do the lower half. It's not too bad, just a little tedious. Same with the cams, but probably gonna set top dead center, and then we'll get the rest of that junk off and then get the cams out of here. Alright, so I pulled the plug so that it's easy to rotate the engine, but I actually am not going to set top dead center yet. I'm going to remove the power steering pump, pull the belt, remove the side motor mount so that we have some adjustment to get the water pump pulley out, pull that belt, and then pull the timing cover, because if you spin this thing, so if you let it sit for like a whole day, your hydraulic tensioner will decompress. But if as soon as you rotate it, it's going to fill back up. So I got to pull this stuff off to pin it so it doesn't explode when I take it off. And then we'll turn it. So that's the next step. So we're going to pull all this shit. Alright, so at this point, the trick to the water pump pulley is... So I already got the power steering pump pulley loose. Belt's loose there. This water pump pulley, if you have a wobbly socket with a 10, that's the best bet. But when you pull the motor mount off, actually jack the motor up a bit. And then it gives you much more room to get a socket in there. And because it spins, you gotta kind of hit it quick. So power tools work best for this. So, and then to rotate it, if you loosen the alternator a little bit, you can usually get it to spin just right. If it's too loose, you just gotta put pressure on the belt and then it'll hold it. Alright, back for another update. Got all the timing components off. The middle cover was snapped in half, only had one bolt in each corner. So I assume somebody else got in here. The water pump also looks pretty new. And getting the timing set up at top dead center, I discovered that it's actually off a tooth. So I did the cams first, so a good way to line them up is these dowel pins right here need to go up, and then these two lines right here need to meet in the middle. Sorry for the camera angle. So I lined those up, and then the bottom was off a little bit, so then I lined the bottom up. So this is your oil pump pulley. So that one is lined up right there. You see the little triangle to triangle. And then this is the crank pulley. And there is a little, see if I can get the light right. There's a little notch right there. So that notch lines up with that little bolt. So I got these ones lined up, and then notice that this was, looks like it was off about a tooth. So the belt did look new, water pump looked new. Looks like somebody did timing, messed it up. Thankfully not enough. So we're now it's at top dead center. I'm probably gonna pull the belt and the auto tensioner and stuff, get all this off, make sure it's lined up right. I'm actually gonna have to end up pulling the cams and stuff too, because we're putting in GSCS too. So now that the bottom end is at least at top dead center, I am going to crack these cam gears loose before I pull the belt, because it'll help keep it together. and then once those are busted loose, we'll go and pull them all. I need to look on DSM tuners, but I believe we're gonna start loosening these from inside out. So this will be like first one, second one, third one, fourth one, fifth one, like that. And then you just go all around. Somebody got some gunk on there, but so that'll be the next. But first, we're gonna go have lunch. Gonna eat some tacos. Gonna be good. So we got the timing marks all lined up down here and the oil pump there. I pulled the belt. We're replacing the auto tensioner, so I didn't pin it, but you should probably do that if you're reusing it. Looks like there's some shit in here from, I'll get that with a screwdriver later. But line up the bottom, line up the top, start disassembling the cams. So when you pull the cams off, you want to start from the middle, go out to avoid warpage. So like this cap, this cap, this cap, this cap, vice versa, all the way back. And then sometimes they're easy to pop off. Sometimes they're pretty stuck. It's pretty sketchy using like a screwdriver on the aluminum because it's easy to like scratch it or burr it. But you can tap it with like a brass rubber hammer from side to side, or use a little screwdriver. And then once you get that off, just lay them all out. The cam caps are numbered for these, like so this says E5 if it's a better one to look at, E3. So this is exhaust 3, and it goes from the front of the engine, which is the timing side. So we'll go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then the back ones just have little arrows on them. So we'll just pull all those out, keep them in order, keep the bolts together, and then put them into a cardboard box so that we know where they go when they go back, and then we'll put the other ones back on. Progress is being made. We got all the cam caps out, lined up, gears out. We're not going to use these cams, so I wasn't too worried about keeping those things nice. Next, we are going to do valve springs in the car, which is a little sketchy, but we got a little valve spring tool here. Basically what we did is put it top dead center, lowered it just a little bit, shoved like this shoestring in there. Pretty much gives like a cushion in the cylinder for the valves, just so like if you have to rotate it a little bit to push a valve up or whatever, it doesn't scratch. Or I don't know, it's kind of just like something just for the peace of mind, I suppose. So we got that in there underneath the valves, put it back to the top dead center. Got the valve compressor tool. Basically it's just bolts to the head here, and then this Allen thread bolt thing we're going to use is pretty much the compressor. So we've got this little attachment here that we're going to push down. It's going to compress the spring, which is going to pop the two keepers up. Then we'll use a little magnet to pick them out, and then we're going to undo it, hope that the valve doesn't fall too far so we can just maneuver it back up. We're going to reach in there, pull out the valve stem seal, push the new one in with like a new 10 mil, and then basically compress the new spring, put it all back together, throw the keepers in, undo it, and it should be that. So we've got to do 16 of those. Alright, so here's an example. We got it all compressed here. You can see the spring down there is compressed, and then there's little keepers on there. I'm just going to do one at a time so I don't get them mixed up. In reality, it probably doesn't matter, but this is what half the keeper looks like. And you're just going to use a little magnet, where I put it, and go in there next to the valve. And if this doesn't stick to everything, grab it, kind of pull it up and off. Got it. Get rid of it. It's hard to do one-handed, but you get the idea. So now that that's done, we're gonna loosen this, because the keeper is what makes the spring not shoot off, basically. So we're gonna undo it kind of slow so it doesn't shoot up, hit us in the face, and then pull this out. Breaks loose. Pull this piece off, which is a little adapter thing. And then the spring pops out, and the valve's just chilling right there. And then that's going to be the valve seal. So we're just going to kind of wiggle that off, walk it off with a pick or something, and then we'll just slide the new one on with like a socket around it till it seats, and then we'll put the other spring back on, basically compress it back again, and then pop the keepers back on top of the valve. Basically just grabbed the old seals, pulled it out. The valve still kind of just floats in there. We checked all the lifters. and they're pretty good. So we're just gonna go ahead and leave those. Got a new seal on there. Now pretty much just gonna do the opposite of what I showed you before. I'm gonna throw the spring on there. Guess I can actually record that, but probably not the compressing. Looks like they're right here. So you're gonna use the bigger part goes on the top, smaller part on the bottom. Just throw it around there like that. And then I think I still gotta open up the tops for all of them. Open. I'm gonna put these kind of in a clean environment. The cleaner you can keep all the stuff going in there, the better chance of it working right the first time and not breaking prematurely. Anyways, so basically you just take this piece, you are gonna throw it on top of the spring like that, and I actually did it backwards. The bigger part does go on the bottom. I should have paid more attention pulling the other ones. It's gonna go like that. So you can tell because it's pretty much like the same size as the spring here. They're actually a much smaller piece. So I just had a little bit of trouble figuring out the tool, but I just had to add another piece right there too for the top. So I'm just gonna go down like that, compress this thing pretty far down, pretty much until you get to the little under the little divot on the valve stem there. And then your keepers, this is going to be the hard part that you want to try not to drop anything. Just try to slide it in there and get it to pop in. A little tedious, so I kind of set it in there and then get it. So I need to compress it a little more because it hasn't actually sat inside yet. Should kind of pop in. Still a little more. Okay, so like that, it popped in. And then I just gotta kind of rotate this thing around to the back side there so that I can try to get the other one in. This might be a little tedious, time-consuming part of it all, getting these to line up the right way. I know I'm not providing the best light, so I just dropped that one. So I'm gonna do this with two hands, but basically you just kind of get them to fall in there, sit in, and then just undo the tool, and then you're set. Alright, so we got it all seated. Once you get the keepers kind of laid on there, you can actually just back the tool off slowly, and then it'll kind of work them into their spots. So I just used a pick like this to kind of work them all together, and then it came up and it seated good. So we got one done and 16 more to go. Alright, unfortunately we did not finish. I gotta go to the airport to catch a flight back to Alaska, but we did finish the valve springs, so those are all in. We're gonna be super sketchy and do head studs one at a time. So just pull that, torque the new one, pull that, torque the new one. Got ARPL 19s. And then throw the S2s in, get all the cam caps and everything on, get it retimed, put it all back together, and hopefully this thing's running by next week or so, depending on everybody's time and stuff. But that being said, thanks for watching the video. I have no long how it's going to take for me to produce another one, but I'll see you next time.